if you're among the people looking for job security, you might consider being a home health or personal care aide. It's the highest demand job in Minnesota right now. That's according to the state. And that need is only expected to increase as our population continues to age. But the median wage for a home health and personal care aide is just over $35,000 a year, which leaves little to save for retirement. Now, the union that represents many of these workers is asking the state to chip in for retirement in their next contract. Joining me now to talk about this is Viktor Solberg, who lives on the Iron Range and cares for his mother full-time. Thank you so much for joining us, Viktor.
Thank you for having me on.
Can you start, please, by just explaining for anyone who doesn't know what personal care assistants and home health aides do?
What we do varies greatly depending on what our clients need.
Okay.
Our clients can age anywhere from, baby infants all the way up to, I believe Miss Deb, one of our fellow union members, said she was caring for someone until they were 102 years old. So clearly the needs of a toddler would be quite different. But on the day-to-day, we spend time with our clients, taking care of them in whatever need that may be. If that's helping them take a shower, use the restroom, making sure that they eat, all the way up to cooking the food and, if need be, feeding them. That's what we do.
Sure.
Other things we do, for example, what I do specifically for my mom is a lot of what I do is taking her to appointments, making sure she takes her medication, and making sure she's comfortable and safe enough to be able to go out into her community and still be part of her community, rather than being isolated at home.
Yeah, I mean, this is super important work. Tell us a little bit, if you would, about how you came to this decision to become your mom's full-time caregiver.
Well, I've been my mom's caregiver in one form or another since I was about 15 when she first got breast cancer. But I formally became her caregiver last year in 2023 as my mom had the unfortunate issue, and I've heard that this is quite common, of she would have a PCA for several months, even up to a year, but due to the lack of benefits such as retirement and health care, they would choose to continue their education and move on to CNA, LPN, various nursing programs. My mom was going through rehab for her knee replacement, and she didn't have a PCA at the time, and I needed a job. So it was kind of the right place, right time for us to formalize the relationship, if you will.
Sure. So it's a big decision that you've made. How would it change your situation to be able to get retirement benefits from the state?
It would change my situation quite drastically. Right now, I'm feeling a little bit like I'm in a bit of arrested development. I have a long-term partner that I love dearly, and I would love to be able to propose to him and marry him, but he's also disabled. He's a disabled artist, and it doesn't quite feel right to, vow myself to take care of him for the rest of our lives when I can't guarantee that, I'm going to have retirement. I'm going to have something to take care of us when I eventually get old enough and more disabled to a point where I can no longer work.
So we did reach out to the state, and a spokesperson told us that essentially the state is exploring options with the union, SEIU, your union, but there aren't many examples of other states offering retirement benefits besides Washington and Oregon they listed. So they're saying they don't really have an idea of what this program would cost or look like, and state lawmakers would need to approve the contract. We know that power in the state legislature is about to be divided between the two parties, and they're looking at a pretty tight budget for the years ahead. How hopeful are you that this will pan out in the way that you want?
I'm fairly hopeful that it will, because one thing to remember is that while, yes, this would be something that would add to the budget, initially, people getting a bit of sticker shock, something to remember is that, home care and PCA actually saves the state money over time, because we're able to allow people to age and live in their homes instead of having to go to assisted living facilities, nursing facilities, things of that nature, or even group homes. to get the care they need. So while there may be a bit of sticker shock to some people seeing this, it is a long-term investment in the state and in our aging population.
Yeah, those are big questions all of us will have to examine about our aging population in the years to come. Do you have any advice for people who may be considering getting into this work?
Really, my best advice would be to look to your community, see who in your community needs help, and see if you're able to fill that gap. If perhaps that isn't in your community, there are agencies. However, I do want to note that our bargaining unit is under what's specifically known as choice PCA, which is where the client chooses the particular PCA individual rather than the agency model, which is where you basically sign up with an agency and get assigned a client.
Okay.
But it is important to note that, like, if you want to get into this work, it is hard work. Your schedule is whatever your client needs it to be. And on the one hand, that can be very flexible, but you do need to keep in mind that your life is now, tied to your client. It's very fulfilling work, but it can be very difficult.
Yeah, I'm curious to learn more about that. What are some of the most rewarding parts of your job? And keeping in mind that, again, you're caring for an individual that you know and are related to, that other people might not be in that exact situation. But what are the parts of your job that are the most rewarding?
Honestly, the most rewarding part of my job is seeing my mom smile when I get to take her to things that she would never be able to go do without a PCA. Take my mom to on outings to, it helps with her mental health, getting her out in the community. I take her to see movies. I take her to shows down in Duluth. She absolutely loves seeing Zenith City Horror shows. And then around the holidays, I take her to craft fairs, and just seeing my mom smile, being able to get out and about and do these things that if she didn't have a PCA or if she was in assisted living, she wouldn't necessarily get to do.
Yeah, making a huge difference in someone else's life. Such important work. Viktor, thank you for being with us and sharing about your work.
Of course, I'm always happy to talk about my work and about my mom to anyone who will listen.
Oh, thank you so much. Take care. We'll be following to see what happens with all of this as the legislature reconvenes in January.
All right. Thank you. And I hope you all have a great, happy holidays.
You too. Take care. Bye-bye. That was Viktor Solberg, a home health worker from the Iron Range. A spokesperson for the union SEIU Minnesota said they will need to reach an agreement with the state in January so that it's part of the governor's budget proposal to the state legislature. Lawmakers again start their next session Tuesday, January 14th.